Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another week on Here to Help You. I are Dave Rankin. I know it's improper English, but you know what? I don't care. I like my title, so I'm gonna stick with it. Shout out to my queen, my influencer, et Simone Jennifer Smith, away on location at this point in time. Sweetheart, this one's for you. You know what I mean? It is Black History Month, or as I like to call it, African Liberation Month, and I want to know what are the people doing this year to go and celebrate the month. By means, I am going to go through a few listings today. So by means, you know what, if you haven't taken in an event as of yet and are planning to, hopefully, some of these will go ahead and fancy your interest. But before we do so, I really wanted to say thank you to everybody who has in fact have done something during this month. Or in fact, has done something period to go ahead and further our cause as a people, past and present. And the reason I say this is because, nothing should be taken for granted. And if nobody has said thank you for your efforts as of yet, I want to go ahead and say thank you. And I want to go ahead and say this in regards to the overall picture. And I wanted you guys to go ahead and get a really, really good perspective on this. Just think, your efforts during this month and during any time of this year, which does culminate in the furthering of our efforts, falls in line with that of Baba Carter G. Woodson, who in fact in 1926 spearheaded this movement to instill a cultural pride for all of us here in the diaspora. For those of us who need a very quick reminder regarding Black History Month, Black History Month started as Negro History Week during 1926. It was first associated with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and as well as Frederick Douglass, who I believe they haven't really looked at his birth records, but they came to a calculation of saying that his birthday is on February the 14th. I know Valentine's Day, right? Guess what? He shares an important day. But nonetheless, it's very important that once again that we go ahead and honor these, of course, these sacred ancestors, these warriors on the front lines who went ahead and actually ensured that we here in the diaspora simply just don't forget. And from there, of course, I have an extended to extended as a month in 1976. At that point in time in the Americas, they once again wanted to recognize our efforts. And so they went ahead and extended another month, or throughout the whole month. Also, I want to go ahead and say that, that your efforts are in line with that of Mama Jean Augustine, who in 1995 stood up in front of the House of Commons to iterate the fact that we, here in Canada, the North, have contributed so much here to this nation, and we should be recognized for it as well. And for that, of course, by means, we go ahead and salute our sacred warriors on the front lines, and as well as you, past and present, who have done things, continue to do things to help us further our cause. As the great Dr. John Henrik Clarke states in his book, Africans at the Crossroads, Notes for an African World Revolution, the aim is not to enter upon 1 week, or in this case, 1 month's study of Black history, or Black people's place in history. Rather, the celebrations should represent the culmination of a systematic study of Black people throughout the year. And as I go ahead and end with that statement, let the statement go ahead and actually be a reflection of what we still must do. Nothing has and will ever be given to us. And more importantly, nothing should be taken for granted. So for this, we celebrate you all and we salute you. Now, let's get into some fun stuff. Let's get into my first picture here, please. Now, speaking of Mama Jean Augustine, the Jean Augustine Chair at York University will be hosting a 2-day symposium titled The Black Leadership, Partisan Politics, and Social Activism. It's a mouthful, I know. However, though, it is designed to bring students all alike, community leaders, and as well as academics together to go ahead and discuss, of course, where we are and what we must do to go ahead and ensure a bright future. The first day is a conversation with Professors David Austin and Mo Abba Gooden. I apologize if I mess up your name, love. Of course, I'm far removed, from my native tongue. However, though, by means, if this is of interest to you, day one, by means, jump on our website, find out how you can go ahead and get on board. Day two, of course, will be a panel discussion. It'll bring, of course, various people all from all the likes. The flyer we just showed us a while ago will go ahead and have all the details, the names of the people involved, and so on and so forth. Once again, you can check York University's website for more details. If you are in the Brampton area and would love to go ahead and actually drop in to the PAMA or the Peel Art Gallery and Museum Archives, can you get picture number 2, please? They will be hosting their North is Freedom event on. It begins at February 16th. Yes, that picture there is of Daryl Hogan, who is a descendant of Sam and Jane Harper from Kansas, and I'll explain why this is important. Canadian photographer Yuri Deutsch will be displaying all descendants of freedom seekers. That's right. Every last one of them he was able to go and track down. He will be going ahead and actually displaying his photography, his pictures, at the PAMA or Peel Art Gallery and Museum Archives. His pictures will be on display from February 16th throughout to June 30th. It should be a wonderful event. I plan on attending one of the days. I may go, in fact, to the launch. I really, really want to go ahead and see the pictures. I'm such a fan of, guys, hearing these stories, and by means, seeing the art behind it. It does remind me of Benjamin Drew's book, The Refugee. If anybody who has not heard of the book, pick it up. It is a wonderful read. It does highlight the experiences of all freedom seekers coming into Canada. As a matter of fact, all over, from, of course, Toronto, Hamilton, and other various provinces as well. Picture number 3, please. The Association of Black Psychologists. They got a Toronto chapter, and they're opening up here. They have an event which will be held at February 25th at the Taibu Community Health Center in Scarborough. Their main focus will be, of course, to go ahead and highlight the ever-growing issue of mental health with our community, and of course, to culminate, or at least coincide with the launch of the Toronto chapter of the Association of Black Psychologists. The association, who has a rich history and extensive membership list in the States. This includes Dr. Naeem Akbar and as well as Dr. Wade Nobles. They aim to bring the same sentiment and approach to the issues that we are facing here in the North. So by means, if this is something of interest, please go ahead and check it out. Once again, it's February 25th out in Scarborough, the Taibu. I found this article online. I know it's not an actual event. However, though, this is very interesting. The Huffington Post, they in fact recently did an update to 24 children books to read during Black History Month, with titles such as Tiny Stitches. Can I get that picture up real quick, please? Beautiful. Tiny Stitches, which highlights the accomplishments of Vivian Thomas, who is a pioneer in the world of surgical technology, and as well as Look What Brown Can Do. Can I get that one up as well? Lovely. Right. This book teaches all readers, in fact, about inspiring contributions to Black history, and encourages kids to go ahead and dream big. By means, these are wonderful reads. If you haven't had a chance to go ahead and read these books or any other, take a look at the article. It's a fine read. It gives you the list of books. You can visit a local library, see if they have any of the books entitled, or by means, go to an African-owned bookstore. And support, the community business by purchasing one of these books during the African Liberation Month. We do have some time. I can't see the camera back there. I think we got like a minute or so left. Is that right? Minute 40? You know what? Let's take an early break. I want to go ahead and get set up for our wonderful guest here today. Let me go ahead and look over here because we got a wonderful young lady coming in here today. She's a vivid speaker regarding, of course, mental and trauma health. By means, and I really, really go ahead and, I want to go ahead and hear her story, let alone, her success, because she's going to go ahead and share that with us here today. Stick with us here. I'm Dave Rankin. This is Here to Help You. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome to Shadow Auto.
He beat you, cussed you, call you of type of names. He spat, he drag, disrespect you in front of your family and friends. Never considered the hurt, and thought twice of the harm it brings. All he cared was who was the man, the top dog, and no compassion sink in his head. You leave, swore never to go back, but he cries, you come crawling back. Once again, the same crap you once thought was over is repeating from beginning to the end. Each time it gets more intense. Ain't no joke, soon it'll be your body that'll be put to rest. So what to do, in a crossroad, either choose life or to your death. Heart aching, trust fading, people gave up as they realized advices ain't budging. One by one they dip, all they can do is pray and hope you'll be safe from certain end. Now fuming, wondering why all the close ones are snaking. Don't understand why in needy times the backs are turned against. Only time and experience will tell the lesson, but time is running out, please make the decision fast. Days go by and your arm is all blue and purple. Cuts in your eye, blood flowing endlessly, staining the crystal clear windows. Now images of history passing you by. Now you're begging to the Lord, please hear my cries. Mass destruction's loading up ready to pop off. Eyes closed to receive the final blow. All of a sudden, there was shining light. Struggle to open, blurry vision of angelical might. Voice like thunder, terrifying but yet with so much comfort. My child, I am with you. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Are you dead, you pounder? Who's his voice, you start to wonder. I am the rock, your protector. No precious child of mine shall suffer. For I knitted you in your mother's womb. All desires and requests, I see them like nakedness of a newborn from delivery room. Never will give you too much to handle. Feel overburdened? Come to me, and I'll give you rest and shelter. This too good to be true. After all the abuse, you're scared because of hurt, but perfect love casts away all fears. Haven't you heard? Love is the greatest of them all. Love rejoices with truth. It's kind and all the qualities to make you feel secure and feel whole. Trust me, my child. Leave this broken tie you have with this guy. Put me first, and all things will follow. For I was, is, and shall be the everlasting loving Father.
Welcome back to another episode of Here to Help You, IR Day Ranking. And I said earlier in the last break that before the last break, that is, I had a wonderful young lady in here with me today. And I mentioned, like I found a bio here, yeah. Right? I'm gonna go through pieces of it, because I really want the audience and our viewers out there to understand where you're coming from, let alone how long you've been doing this as well, right? So, born in the early 90s, Gloria O'koye.
Yeah.
Yes. Was very
thank you.
Yes, for real, right? Right. Of course, raised in Toronto, Ontario, influenced by her mother, who was a piano teacher and as well as a choir director. Is that right?
Yes, back in Hong Kong. Yes.
Wonderful. Wow. Right. So, and that's where, of course, you realized your passion for music.
Yes.
Right, for writing, creative writing, that is as well.
Yes.
Beautiful. Right. As you got older, you realized, of course, how hectic and discouraging life could be. With the onset of 2012, this is where Gloria began to go ahead and dedicate herself to be a voice for the voiceless. Right. As a talented songwriter for the past 13 years and a dedicated writer for 14 years, right? Your involvement, of course, in the arts should be highlighted. Right? Because you know what? There are a lot of people who have not written for this long, let alone, continue to push, right? A lot of people have moved on and gone to do other things, but you're still here, and here to help you. I want to go ahead and welcome once again Gloria O'koye to our studio.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on today. First and foremost, let's start with what makes you yourself unique as a creative writer.
I guess when it comes to creative writing, when it comes to my fiction, I guess with each character, I do highlight my characteristics.
Okay.
The antagonist and protagonist. So it's different parts of me. And through my writing,
I tell my story.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the spoken word it's very new to me.
Okay.
The spoken word is like more like direct, like this is me.
Yeah.
But if you read my fiction,
Mm-hmm.
you will see me. If you know me, you will
Right.
know you will know me.
Really? How easy is it for you to go ahead now and put pieces of you into now your fiction as a antagonist and protagonist?
Oh, I still do it.
Yeah.
I'm still working on novels on that. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk about, of course, you know what, how you now became to be a writer. Of course, we mentioned, of course, with the bio, of course, your mother had a great influence. But what are some of your other influences?
Music. I listen to a lot of like old school reggae,
Okay.
some R&B, hip hop, and I really love the storytelling. I read a lot of books
Okay.
and a lot of nonfiction books.
Mhm.
So through that's how I get the imagery and metaphors.
Okay.
And life. It was a way to self-express. It was a way that I could tell my story.
Mhm.
I don't like to talk too much. It's only recently that I've been sharing a lot of my story, but in general, I don't. Like, I'm really shy.
Okay.
Yeah.
How hard is it now for you to go ahead now and like make that transition now from shyness to go ahead and now and opening it up a little bit more?
I would say the one-on-one and more of the questions. Like, if you come up to me and ask like a really personal question, I will answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now let's take you back now to 2013. Yes, with Fallen Angel. Sorry, Letter to My Angel, that is. Right.
Yeah.
How different was that for you to go ahead now and present that piece at that point in time in your life?
I would say that is more empowering. That I will see my angel again.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it was more of a way just to cope, because I wanted to join my angel
Okay.
many times.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's more of a letter. This is my story, and this is why I had to push harder.
There's bravery in that. What was? Do you remember the response from the audience? The response now, of course, of some of your peers, and once they heard this for the first time, at least heard you present this for the first time. What was the response been at that point?
I didn't know that many people went through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. For me, like, I always thought that I was alone in my journey, because a lot of people don't really share that part. At least when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe now people are more open in. So when I shared that piece, I had five peers come up to me and they said that, thank you, this is my story, and because I heard your story, I know that I'm not alone. And they started to do their healing process. They started to open up to the professionals
Mm-hmm.
and get the help they need
Mm-hmm.
because of me just hearing the poem. So
That's wonderful. What does that do for, like, for yourself now as a writer? How did that enable you to go ahead and actually keep pushing?
it was also the healing for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So just seeing how people heal is just like, wait, I should do this too. I should join the ride.
How hard was it to go ahead and take that first step and actually like begin that healing process for yourself?
It was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. I come from cultures where you hold stuff in. I come from a culture where you're supposed to just survive.
Hmm.
You don't really heal. You survive, you make it through, and you take it to the grave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when we're speaking about cultures, we're speaking, of course, your background.
Yes.
And I learned this, we mentioned before, I just learned this through, of course, the podcast that you're on recently. Part Nigerian and part Chinese, is that
Yes.
correct? Wow, that's an interesting mix. You know what? Now that you mentioned it, I probably can see it, of course, in the eyes.
Yeah.
Do people, when they come up to you, do they mistake, of course, your cultural background? Did you get all types of like cultures?
All the time. I could name you a whole entire list.
Let's start with some of the outrageous ones.
Well, I get a Jamaican a lot.
Okay.
I get Cambodian.
Cambodian.
Yes, like I have full Cambodians come up to me
Mhm.
saying that, "Are you my people?" Huh? What? Okay. I have Filipino. Filipino, I understand.
Okay.
Back then, before I met Black Indigenous,
Hmm.
they used to say that I look Indigenous.
Okay.
I look like Ojibwe, Cree, or yeah. So, and I'm just like, what? I was like, but this is before, because media only presented like one view of what
Right.
Indigenous.
Correct.
So it wasn't until with one of my educators that I went to First Nations, I was like, oh,
Hmm.
you kind of look like me.
Yeah.
Now I know why. People was like,
That's
yeah. So it was yeah.
wonderful. Beautiful. Here to help you, family. What? Stick with us. I am Dave Rankin. This is my wonderful guest, Miss Gloria O'koye. We'll be back right after the break.
Hello, my name is Anisha, and I'm the production manager of TCN Network. Have you ever wanted to host your own show? Do you have a message to share? Well, you're in luck. We are looking for dynamic and unique individuals to host their own shows. We are seeking people who are committed, motivated, and energetic. Do you want to be the next Jimmy Fallon, Ellen DeGeneres, or Shane and Ryan from BuzzFeed Unsolved? Start here. Fill out the Propose a Show form on mytcntv.com. We're here to educate, support, and build the community. Can you lead by example? Go the extra mile and seek knowledge? Are you humble, disciplined, responsible, selfless, and enthusiastic? Those are our core values. And if you identify with them, you could be part of a growing network that focuses on positivity and uplifting our community. We can't wait for you to join us on TCN Network and hope to hear from you soon.
Was 16 and pregnant. She just fits in the statistics. Future looks slim, 'cause she'd be a young mom. Probably stay on welfare, having taxpayers mad. Marriage must not be in her mind. Too young to understand love. All she think is pleasure in the flesh. Why do you think she settled for a scrub? History repeats, she must be from the projects. She probably can't think to speak. Keep your children far away, she's gonna be a bad influence. But the same girl you judge finished her education, applying for Bible college, killed exams, made impressions from placements, know way more about life than some of the elders, so please do tell what you know about me.
Welcome back to another segment here on Here to Help You. I am Dave Rankin. I'm with my wonderful guest today, Miss Gloria O'koye, aka Glows.
Hi.
Of course, if you missed the last two segments, please jump back on the line. Of course, we broadcast through YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and so on and so forth, and even mytcn.com. So by means, go ahead and check out the previous segments. Let's talk about this other piece here that I noticed online with respect to your goals. Right. I don't know, guys, how long these were written, but I want to go ahead and read these because I thought these were very empowering. Right. As you mentioned before, becoming a voice for the voiceless. Bringing awareness to social injustices. Right. Equipping people at risk with tools to express their emotions and life experiences to prevent tragedies. Okay. Well, first, let me ask this: how long ago was this written?
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah,
And now, are these still in line in regards to what you're doing now and what your movement is now?
Yes, actually even more into it now with One Mic Educators and Vibe Arts.
Okay.
So I'm able to do like more workshops as an art educator. I'm an emergent art educator.
Okay.
So yeah.
What's that like now? Of course, being out an art educator and now being in front of course, I'm sure you get students of all ages.
Yeah.
Right. So what's that like for you now?
Yeah, I see through the lens of like so many individuals, and even though like I experienced some of the things at a very young age, I guess it throws me off when I see like a 4-year-old knowing about gun violence, a 5-year-old who could see things that, whoa,
you would never imagine them to see, right?
And like even having them to draw and to use simple words, it's pretty.
And not to put any of course, these young artists on the spot, but what's probably the most remarkable thing that you've seen, of course, from one of your young students?
Their wisdom. Yeah, their wisdom. Blows me away all the time.
Right.
And I think as grown-ups, adults, we underestimate them.
Okay.
As if we weren't in their shoes before.
Right.
And we know.
Yeah.
We know. Or tend to forget for some reason.
For real.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Let's talk about now You had mentioned before in regards to now slowly, of course, once you've done the piece, My Fallen Angel, or sorry, my angel, that
Yeah.
is, right? And how now you began to go ahead now and see some of your peers go ahead and open up professionally to, of course, receiving the help.
Yes.
What were some of the ways that now who did you seek out to go ahead and now enlist, of course, for the help for yourself at that point?
So finding like the right professional is like dating.
Mm-hmm.
So like you start off by little and you build a trust. And it took me a while. There is one person that I'm more open to now.
Right.
And it took like 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, it was like on and off.
Okay.
So it was not until like the death in my family,
Mhm.
the recent one, that I was
Mhm.
like I went back to them again.
Okay.
So yeah.
I see. And how much have you grown? How much would you say on a scale of, if you had to go ahead and quantify it in the numbers, how much
Yes.
have you grown since, of course, those 5 years that you were with there?
Personally, I don't know. I feel like I'm in the same spot, but a lot of my really close friends and loved ones around me said that I'm more happier,
Okay.
more joyful.
Mhm.
I'm not as like sad,
Mhm.
angry as I was before when they first met me.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, you're doing your job then. I didn't know, but okay.
All right. I have this quote that I found online from Rando, and I hope I say his last name right, Ajay or Ajay. Right. And it states here, I am not my struggles. I am not my pain. They're just roadblocks that prove how far I've came. Let's talk about that in regards to how important that is for you as well.
It means everything.
Mm.
From the first time I heard him say that at Rise, when I started to go to Rise,
Mhm.
I was like, yeah. I really look up to him.
Mhm.
Even his stories, it actually pushed me more further to share mine.
Okay.
So I had to give thanks to him for that.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And of course, you spoke of Rise. You spoke about One Mic, Vibe Arts as well.
Yes.
How instrumental, of course, now of these organizations played now, and of course, in your professionalism.
Yes.
How would you go ahead and now and state the importance now of these organizations now being, of course, imposing, of course, in your writing, your performances, and so on and so forth.
So with Rise, even in my bio, when I said I was performing Fallen Soldier, I had a really bad experience.
Okay.
I froze 3 times before reading my letter to my angel. So I actually wanted to quit performance.
Okay.
It was my very first major performance in Toronto after coming back from Missouri.
Okay.
So I was like, no. But when Rise, it was all love and support. So I pushed through Rise, and just by building and connecting with other people, my performance became more encouraging. I started to see what things I like, what things I don't like in performances,
Okay.
what I could practice on. They were giving me a lot of pointers.
Okay.
So with One Mic Educators, they helped me deal with my writer's block.
Okay.
There was a lot of things that I write about but I don't share.
Okay.
But One Mic Educators took it to a different level with the writing prompts. They're asking the right questions.
Okay.
And it also helped me start to, in the art education field, more solidify, because I was doing it in the community, but I was more just doing it for the love.
Yeah.
And so so One Mic Educators taught me more of the insides and and it helped me a lot. Vibe Arts was very recent.
Okay.
Kofi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That Kofi got me into the artist roster, so thank you, Kofi.
Big up Kofi. Big up Kofi.
So right now, Vibe Arts is I'm doing more of the business now,
Mhm.
and so One Mic and Vibe Arts is getting me more of expanding, getting me out of my comfort zone, more of the planning, and yeah.
How is it now? How have you now grown with respect to now your approach now to, let's say now the art education side of things? Let's go back now, of course, to your first workshop to now, of course, your most recent workshop. Now, how much of a difference now is there between yourself and how you go and facilitate things?
More organized. I'm when my first workshop, I remember I just took the kids up to the forest by Humber River.
Right.
I'm like, let's write. pick out a random leaf. There was no, I suck at organizing. But now it's there's a structure. There's even doing the timing. Yeah. Even I had one of my other mentors, Whitney French.
Okay.
She helped me with the planning. So I've seen how she was planning. She was breaking down, and the One Mic Educators solidified that. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. I love it. So it really took a community, it took a village. Yeah.
Excellent. You know what, Nisha, let's go on an early break here. right? Because I really, really want to go ahead and get into a few more questions. Plus, we want to talk about, of course, your most recent publication, right? And you know what? I really want to go ahead and actually spend a little bit more time speaking about this publication. So, here to help you, family. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to another segment here on Here to Help You. I are Dave Rankin, and I'm alongside. I'm going to use a couple words to go ahead and describe you for this last segment. So I'm going to go creative writer, right? Art educator, right? Spoken word artist, right? And as well as all around, just a wonderful person at heart. Because we can see the beauty at heart, regardless of all the trauma. But yes, definitely a beautiful person. You know, Miss Gloria O'koye. Let's talk about this book here. You brought it here. A kintsugi memoir. So let's go back to the ideal. You know, what prompted you to go ahead and actually start writing this book? And we'll get into the name afterwards as well.
So, kintsugi memoir is basically a collection of 25 years of life.
Okay.
So I was a blogger before, and I wrote all my poems down. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, you should get a book. You should get a book." So I don't know. I decided to shut down my blog. I guess it's just yeah, you better get this book done, okay?
For real.
So it took 5 years.
Okay.
It was 5 years. There's a lot of pieces from the blog that I put in that I took out.
Okay.
A lot of things I added more because life changes your views. There was 2 pieces. Well, there are 2 main pieces that I couldn't finish because it wasn't the right timing.
Okay.
It was only until the last 2 years that I knew, especially after January 20th last year. I knew I had to finish.
I see. How hard was it for you to go ahead and to omit certain pieces and of course put in certain pieces and of course into a finished product?
I'm stubborn. I'm very stubborn. You tell me, oh, this piece is not ready. No, it's ready in my eyes. So I was arguing with myself, and yeah, I always think that, you know, when some pieces are not meant to be, they're not meant to be. No, yeah. So I learned the hard way, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, bye. And even some of the new pieces, I was like, this is not good enough because everyone's like, oh yeah, you sound so more happier. No. So, yeah, I could go on the whole entire story about that, but yeah.
I hear you. For sure. Kintsugi. How did you come up with the title, and by means, the philosophy behind it?
Okay, so this book was originally titled Tribulations and Redemption.
Okay.
So at Kintsugi, I was in my it was a name from my church group that were dealing with human trafficking, and a lot of the women were from like Japan, like Korea and stuff. So they talked more about kintsugi. So we looked deeper into the meaning and says that kintsugi is a Japanese art of repairing broken pottery.
Okay.
In a society where we drop your mug, you drop your cup, what's the first thing we do?
Of course, we clean up and throw it out.
Yeah, we deemed it as worthless, broken, trash.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, in our society, we do look at people like that too. Mm-hmm. Let's face it. You know, it's like it kind of worms, but we do have those little judgments like, oh, this happened to you? Oh, I feel so sorry. I pity you.
Right.
I wish that never happened. In Japan, when someone's going through tribulations, and even Chinese culture and even Korean culture, like I could say that like proudly. We talk about resilience. We talk about perseverance. In our brokenness, that's where we find our most strength. So even in the book, you see the little, like, I guess the soil part. They're actually broken fragments of my shadow reflection.
Ah, okay.
So I pick up the pieces and.
Of course, you end up growing into the wonderful piece that we got here.
Yeah.
For sure. You know, it's amazing. Like I said, of course, you know, like when we're able to go ahead now and use different parts of culture. You know, from around the world, right? And of course, related back to ourselves, that are related to an actual society, right? And it's functioning because you know what? Every time somebody gets hurt, or every time somebody experiences a piece of trauma, right, and they do feel broken, right? What do they got to do? They got to go ahead and force to find a philosophy to go ahead and put the pieces back together and become whole, right? So this is wonderful in regards to you know how the philosophy now relates to everyday life. Right. And with that being said, I know I wanted to go ahead and hear. I want to hear a piece. So any piece you want to go ahead and actually read, not only just for myself, but of course for the Here to Help family, go right ahead, please.
This is one of the 2 poems that I waited until it was ready. I grieve in my mother's tongue, yet I heal in my mother's tongue. 5月6號2017年房 6W 643婆婆我好掛住你婆婆我愛你佢同我講我知道我個婆婆同我講一句説話 What breathes in life must face an end 你唔使擔心我啦我去返天父度 I guess I will see you in the next lifetime. That moment of silence sliced diagonally down my spine. Smoking, drinking won't help me cope. Her spirit had already made up its mind. And mine, my soul already knows it's almost time. Tears on my knees at the hospital only soothes an aching heart. No time wasted. Spent as much as I could before I had to say my final goodbyes. 5月7號 5月8號 5月9號 5月10號 5月11號2017年房 3W366婆婆起身啦婆婆我知道耶和華 A human time visit on earth is fragile and exposed like a flower but lived as if it was an evergreen tree. We celebrate birth and the last breath, but let's not forget to count all the blessings she had within the dash. Stories of her life illustrate her humbleness, wisdom, and strength. A smile so bright, it radiates, turning any darkness into light with just a glimpse. A nurturer with a given heart. Her beauty outshines everything, wherever she goes, inside and out. Working hard day till night to provide, wore a crown full of virtues which is rare to find. Focusing on the finest details in all she did to ensure the best. An angel on earth, touched lives, bringing joy to those she met. This is only a temporary goodbye. A temporary goodbye. When the new world and heaven are finally complete, our souls shall reunite as we all make more new memories. Papa, aho guajile, Papa, o oile, and I shall take up the everlasting torch to continue your legacy. Ahe fangala, Papa. Love you.
What an amazing piece. That's a wonderful piece, definitely.
Thanks.
How hard is it for you now to go ahead and, I guess, to write from English, of course, going to, of course, your native tongue and Chinese, right, and going back and forth and inserting that into your work?
Well, Cantonese, I actually, with this poem, it was the regular regular conversation Cantonese. If I went to like deep poetic Cantonese, it'll be like totally different. I'm like, yo, I cannot do this, you know. But I actually do want to write because my grandpa was a poet.
Okay.
Like in like the old Chinese books, like all his poetry is in that. I really want to do that in this lifetime. I really want to at least write that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Quickly tell the audience in regards to how they can go ahead and find it, of course, yourself, and of course, let's go ahead and hold this wonderful book up here. How they can go ahead and find this right here.
So in person, you can come up to me, and I usually have copies on me. or you can go to offer underscore glows. You can go to hashtag at kintsugi memoir. DM me. I got you.
Wonderful. How involved was your immediate community? And what I mean by immediate community, I'm saying, of course, friends, family, some of your peers that you've worked with or worked alongside of. How involved, of course, were they in the process?
Directly, indirectly, everyone played a part. That's why my acknowledgments was like a couple pages. And there was many more I couldn't, I say I didn't think about the cost, but everyone played a part, even like good and bad. Like I couldn't have done it with everything. Like, it's my life.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever I come in contact with, even if it's a brief moment, they played a big part.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Excellent. What's next for 2019? What's next for Miss Glows?
So the book has there's fins where I want to do an interactive blog. I'm currently working on a workbook. And in this workbook, I will talk even more deeper some of the stuff that I didn't even mention in the memoir. So, yeah.
Wonderful. When do you expect the workbook to be out and be released?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this one took 5 years. I'll keep you posted. I mean, I should have other little projects coming out for me. Yeah, I can't even promise you.
Well, you heard it first here, family. She's got a workbook coming out. Miss Gloria O'koye, thank you so much for coming through today to Here to Help Studio. We thank you so much for bringing this to light. As I mentioned before, regardless of all the pain, right, regardless of all the trauma, of course, underneath it all, there is beauty, right? And like the philosophy says, you went ahead and go ahead and put pieces together, right? And I thank you so much for doing so, because it is very much an inspiration to those out there.
I hope so.
Thank you very much for going ahead and taking in our conversation here. We'll be back here next week. Hopefully I got a surprise here for you, because I'm waiting, of course, for my better half to go ahead and be here in the studio to join me. I guess I'm only doing it here by myself sometimes. You know how it goes. But, I have wonderful guests. I got wonderful people. Shout out to Anisha and, of course, the whole MTCN, my TCN family here. Stay tuned for What Matters with Erica. We'll see you out next week. Peace and love, family.
My youngest son, Nathaniel, was at a friend's house. There was a confrontation with a boy that turned up and decided that he'd take a knife and stab Nathaniel with it. I feel like at that time I was in a bubble and feeling alone and not even knowing how to articulate that to anyone.
I had to have major limb reconstruction surgery. Around the same time, my daughter got a condition called HSP and my dad got cancer. It was like a perfect storm of things going wrong. And I realised that the anxiety was really taking root in my life. And then you realise that actually you can't just carry on. And you need to show some self-compassion.
Bereavement is different for everyone. What's really important is that people are able to talk to someone that they can connect with. And through that, there's a real good healing process.
And actually maybe receiving help is letting go of your pride and saying, I am really broken. And as we share in our brokenness, we share in our common humanity.
The brokenness is my heart, and it's in pieces. But through time, it's starting to come together again.